Today, I'm going to be looking at the top 10 group of 5 running backs, and I've got some highlights included on this show. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode on the College Underdogs YouTube channel. I'm your host, Trey Smith, and if you're a fan of Group of 5 football, this is the place to be. Please, please, please like, subscribe, watch it till the end, comment, share it with a friend. If you're in the MAC, if you're a Sun Belt, if you're the American Conference, the Mountain West Conference, or the Conference USA, this is your channel. So like it, subscribe to it, turn those notifications on. Today, I'm coming with another top 10 video. We did top 10 quarterbacks last week. Today, I'm going to be looking at the top 10 group of 5 running backs, and I've got some highlights included on this show. Somebody had put that in the comments last week. I didn't do it with the quarterbacks because I was worried about a copyright, but I think I've got this figured out where I should be good. So hopefully you enjoy this show. I put a lot into it, trying to get as good a content for these group of 5 teams and players as possible. So as always, I love to hear if you disagree with me. Put it down in the comments, state why, make a case. If I left someone out, put them in there. If I've got someone too high or someone too low, let me know why. But I'm going to give you my top 10, and I'm going to give you my analysis as to why they're my top 10. You will also see some highlights. So without further ado, let's get to the list. So coming in at number 10, I'm going UTSA Cavian Barnes. So last year, Cavian Barnes had 715 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns, and averaged 4.9 yards per carry. You know, UTSA, they've got a pretty loaded running back room this year, and they're going to need a strong outing from their running back room. And I think Cavian Barnes is going to help take the pressure off whoever it is that ends up winning that quarterback battle. I mean, he's one of those guys that's hard to bring down. He's a, thick runner. Doesn't have like that breakaway speed, but he can get to the end zone. He can run through tackles. He'll definitely run through arm tackles. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with the old Roadrunners this year out in San Antonio, because they're going to need a big showing out of their run game, especially with the way their defense is shaping up. That's probably going to be their anchor this year. And, quarterback's still kind of a question mark. And when that's the case, sometimes you might need the first few games of the season before you clearly define who that guy is. And so what helps in those situations is a strong running game. And number 10 for me is Cavian Barnes. Moving on to number 9. Finally, MAC fans, I got you. My 9th ranked running back is Jaylen Buckley out of Western Michigan. So Buckley, last year as a redshirt freshman, ran for 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns, averaging 5.3 yards per carry. This is a dude that does have the breakaway speed. He will make those midweek MACtion games worth watching. As young as he is, my concern for him, at least as it pertains to Western Michigan, is he still in Kalamazoo after this season? Because this is the type of player that we will end up seeing either in the Big Ten or maybe even at a more prestigious G5 program, depending on who's going to bring that NIL money. So heck of an outing last year, 1,000-yard runner as a freshman. We got another freshman, or another rising sophomore, I should say, on this list as well. But Jaylen Buckley out of Western Michigan coming in at number 9. All right, number 8. It's Antario Brown out of Northern Illinois. Had 1,296 yards rushing a season ago, almost 1,300. Ran for 10 touchdowns and averaged 6.1 yards per carry. So any of you NIU fans, I know you know all about this guy. Probably would be getting more notoriety. Probably would be higher on lists like this had NIU won more games last year. We'll see how that team shapes out this upcoming season. But I think Antario Brown, coming off a strong spring, he was named team MVP of the spring season. And I think he's primed for a big time year following up last season. And, if NIU is going to make some noise in the MAC this year, it's going to be off the legs of him. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Keeping the list rolling at number 7. This one hurts my heart a little bit. It's Isiah Davis at JMU. If you're a UNT fan, that name sounds very familiar to you because he was a 1,000-yard rusher for the Mean Green a season ago, ran for just over 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, and averaged a whopping 7.1 yards per carry. Crazy. He split reps a lot last year, but when he got his time to shine, he made the most of it. And just like every other player that balled out for North Texas a season ago, he transferred. He's at JMU now, JMU under a new coaching staff. I'm sure he will pick up right where he left off. JMU, I'm sure, will be strong and have a good season. Don't know if they'll be what they were under Cignetti, but I expect them to still be competing for the conference championship over in the Sun Belt. And I expect to see Adahi making some noise just like he did at North Texas. I think he was just getting started last year, finally having a chance to really show what he could do. And then now he's getting ready to put a button on his career at JMU. All right, next on the list at number 6 is Quinton Coolie out of Liberty. Listen, I know a lot of you take issue with me ranking these Liberty guys because they play such a cupcake schedule. But look, my philosophy on this is just because a team plays a soft schedule doesn't mean the players aren't good. So Caden Salter, from my top 10 quarterback video, and now Quinton Coolie, the running back that's a part of that spread, triple option attack, a lot of pistol sets. He's a heavy runner. Again, another one of those guys that's not really got the breakaway speed, but he's going to run through guys. When they get into that red zone, he's going to get the ball in the end zone. And listen, Liberty's looking to go back-to-back this year, okay? They've got the schedule where they could run the table again and potentially get into the playoff bid, which would, it'd be a playoff bid this year, not New Year's 6, but they're looking to repeat that. And if they're going to go 13-0, it's going to be on the shoulders and legs of Caden Salter and Quinton Coolie. And I think they're primed. I think they were ecstatic to keep both of those guys on the roster, whereas a lot of people thought they might, be victims of the portal. See what else is out there, look at other opportunities in the portal, but both of them are returning. And this was the heartbeat of Liberty's offense last year. Liberty had the number 1 rushing offense in the country. I think they were averaging, I don't have it in front of me, but it was an insane amount of rushing yards a game. And like I said, it was off the grind of these two guys. Okay, getting into the top 5. Last week, when I did the quarterback, I talked about where that natural break was from, the top 5 or top 6 guys and then the next 3 or 4. With this list, it was a little bit more difficult to do that because I could see an argument for a couple of these MAC guys to maybe be higher. And I think as the season plays out, if this was a power ranking, I think we would see some moving and shaking all throughout the season. But right now, man, it's very difficult for me to say, their natural break is right here, just because I think all these guys, in my opinion, are properly placed in this ranking. And I think, though, that each of them has the ceiling, has the potential to be that top guy, except for the top guy. So maybe that second to top guy, because you all probably already know who it is, but ain't nobody touching him, in my opinion. But let me digress. Number 5. I've got Harrison Whaley out of Wyoming. Wyoming Cowboys ran for 947 yards a season ago, 5 touchdowns, averaging 5.8 yards per carry. He did miss some games due to injury, but as you saw on the clip there, had a big-time run against Texas, a defense that ended up playing, was a playoff team at season's end. He's got the speed. He's got the ability to run through guys. Wyoming now does have a new coaching staff. Craig Ball retired at the end of last season. They've got I think they promoted their defensive coordinator. And now their offensive coordinator is former Michigan State OC Jay Johnson, who also was at Georgia. So he's got some experience with how to use a quality running back. And in fact, earlier this spring, he drew a light comparison of Harrison Whaley to Kenneth Walker, the Heisman finalist, Doak Walker Award winner that year, Michigan State. I believe it was Mel Tucker's first season there. They ended up making a run, playing in the New Year's 6, and it was off the legs in running of Kenneth Walker. And so Could we see Harrison Whaley used in a similar role as Walker was at Michigan State? I think if he is, that right there could put Wyoming even more into the discussion of that Mountain West Conference champion. That is one thing I'm looking at, okay? Can Harrison Whaley have the impact this year on Wyoming that Kenneth Walker had on Michigan State several seasons ago? I believe it was the 2021 season. Moving on to number 4. Yes, Ishmael Motti. Ish Motti out of Texas State. Ran for 1,331 yards, 10 touchdowns, averaging 6 yards per carry. This guy is lightning on the football field. You will not catch him. The second he sees daylight, he is gone. One thing about Ish Motti that also makes him even more of a weapon is the fact that he is a threat in the passing game and he is a threat in the return game. So he'll take kicks back. He'll catch the ball out of the backfield. There's a lot of different ways he can be used to be a threat that you got to account for him. In my opinion, he'll be the Sun Belt Conference version. Now, I'm not comparing him to this guy. Okay, I'm not saying he's anywhere in the same ballpark as this guy, but he will be the Sun Belt Conference's version of Reggie Bush at USC. That's what I predict for Ish Motti this year in 2024 is he will be the Sun Belt version. Okay, I'm not saying he will be that, but I'm saying he'll be the Sun Belt's version. And teams are going to have to really account for him. He's going to have Texas State in every game. He's going to make them a threat offensively and on special teams and in the passing game. With Jordan McLeod back there at quarterback, G.J. Kinney in year 2, I'm very excited about this Texas State offense. It's got a lot of firepower. They've got a lot of weapons, and they've got a lot of momentum. So we shall see how things play out in the Sun Belt Conference. But moving on. Let's get to number 3 on the list. I've got Makai Hughes out of Tulane. Makai Hughes, another freshman, coming off of their freshman season, redshirt freshman year, similar to Jaylen Buckley. Ran for 1,378 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 5.3 yards per carry. He wasn't even the starter until after the Memphis game, I think it was. In fact, Memphis may have been his first start, and then he never looked back from there. Remember, Tyjae Spears goes off to the NFL. Tulane has this hole at running back now. Who's it going to be that's going to fill that void? And lo and behold, it ended up being a freshman, Makai Hughes, who once he got the keys to the car, he never gave them up. He got better and better as the season went on. I expect big things out of him this first year under John Sumrall, the new head coach at Tulane. Tulane has no plans of backing down. All right. They're going to continue to build on the momentum and the foundation that's been laid over the past 2 seasons. I think if you look at their new coach's track record, he wastes no time. I think he was 2 years at Troy, won 10 and 11 games both seasons. Tulane's going to be good. And offensively, they're going to have a new quarterback. Okay, Michael Pratt is gone to the NFL. And so Makai Hughes is going to be a big part of that offense, especially early in the season. I mean, he will be all season, but I think early in the season, he's going to take a lot of pressure off whoever ends up getting the starting spot, whether it's Kai Horton or whether it's the Oregon transfer. Why did his name just escape me? Is it Ty? Forgive me, Tulane fans. Put his name in the comments since it's escaping me right now, but anyways, Makai Hughes is my number 3 G5 running back headed into the 2024 season. All right, top 2. Before I tell you the second one, I already know some of you are going to disagree with it, but I'm going to explain why I have him ranked so high. Half of you are going to be 100% on board and in agreement with it, and then the other half of you are going to think I have this player ranked way too high. And that is Mario Anderson out of Memphis. He transferred from South Carolina. I know his numbers don't look very impressive. 707 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, and 4.9 yards per carry. You have to remember, though, he was a starting running back in the SEC. He was the leading rusher at South Carolina. If you look at who he's playing against, the clips that he just ran in, he's playing against SEC competition whereas everyone else on this list was not playing against that level of competition all season long. That's why I've got him ranked high. He spent a season in the SEC, nearly ran for 1,000 yards, was the leading rusher on his SEC team, even though they were not very good. And I expect him to plug in at Memphis and be a baller right out of the gate. Right out of the gate. I think we saw how they used their running back last year. I think we see how that system, the running game really opens things up for Seth Hennigan. I think this offense is primed for another explosive season. They're just going to have to, they had a great year last year. But if they want to take that next step, if Memphis wants to move from that 10-win team to that 11-12-win conference championship team, I think Mario Anderson's going to have a lot to do with that. Feel free to disagree with me, but the reason why I have him ranked so high, even though his numbers are not as impressive as the people beneath him on this list, is simply because the level of competition that he played against last season was way more significant than anybody else on this list. And I don't think that's an arguable point. So Mario Anderson at number 2, and then finally coming in at the top of my list, drum roll, please. You already know who it is. It's Boise State's Ashton Jeanty. I think this dude could end up being a Heisman candidate this year before the season ends, especially if Boise State's able to get hot and make a run. He ran for nearly 1,400 yards last year, 14 touchdowns, 6.1 yards per carry. He was also a threat in the passing game, had over 560 yards receiving, caught another 5 touchdowns through the air. The dude is just insane. And a interesting tidbit about Jeanty, okay, he's probably the best running back at Boise State since Jay Ajayi, and they both are actually from the same city, at least as it pertains to where they went to high school. Jay Ajayi went to Frisco Liberty. Ashton Jeanty went to Frisco Lone Star. They're on opposite sides of town. However, they're in the same city, same district, so I found that a little interesting when I was doing the research for this particular show. I think that Boise State, they got Dirk Cutter at OC, we talked about the quarterback stuff, even got into a little bit of discussion on the thread there as far as who's going to end up actually being the starter. I'm still leaning towards Malachi Nelson. I think it's his to lose as long as he can grasp the playbook. There's going to be a lot of pro concepts. It's going to probably be a lot more intense than what he had at USC. I know Lincoln Riley's offenses are always explosive and effective, but I know part of the philosophy of those air raid routes is to keep things as simple as possible. I would imagine there's going to be a lot more pre-snap reads, being on the same page with your receivers, the different checks and things of that nature that Malachi Nelson's going to have to adjust to. But whoever it is that ends up being the signal caller, when you got a guy like Ashton Jeanty there in your backfield, it certainly takes the pressure off. So that's it, man. That is my top 10 group of 5 running backs. Also, if you're a gamer and you're looking forward to this new EA College Football 25 coming out, and you're planning on running a power run offense or some type of offense where you really dive into the running game, these will be one of the teams to start your dynasty with. I can't wait to see. I wonder if the player ratings in the game are aligned with this list. In other words, if when that game drops, if the top rated group of 5 running backs is either close to this top 10 or similar to this top 10, I think I'm probably in the right ballpark here. But those are some guys. I think the one that probably none of you have ever heard of is Jaylen Buckley out of Western Michigan. And that's the one I would keep an eye on this season. And some of you are like, I hadn't heard any of them except for the one that plays for my team or that play in my conference. So there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I will not have any more content this week. I am out of town. I am off the grid completely. I'll be back next week. And next week I'll try to get a couple more shows up just to make up for the one that I missed this week. But thank you all so much. Once again, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, engage in the discussion, and let's keep growing this channel. It is the #1 show on YouTube for Group of 5 football, and let's just keep taking this thing all the way to the top. That's it for me today. Trey Smith, College Underdogs.